Hi, Victor. So we hear all about chatbots and we think we know a bit about them. So you talked about this briefly earlier. So these developers no longer need to craft every possible response. What else can these conversational AI agents do these days?
Okay, let's just leave all the old chatbots behind at this point and pretend that they don't exist. We're just into the conversational AI side, so like the really good chatbots. Some of the problems that you used to have, and here's how it would have gone. I have the ability as a chatbot to answer 6 things. If you don't ask me specifically one of those 6 things, I'm probably just gonna say, do you mind asking me a different question? Or whatever that message is that says, I'm at a dead end.
Right.
Dead end was a very common thing that happened with chatbots,
Yeah.
IVRs, all kinds of technology where you were trying to interact with stuff. So a conversational AI will be able to have chit chat with you. So you've probably seen this with like whichever platform you have, let's say it's Alexa, and you're like, hey Alexa, who's the coolest person on earth? Like that's not a really answerable question, but Alexa will say something fun or something funny. You know, like it's also been a little program for some of these questions, but it's able to generate some of these on the fly. So that's kind of cool that it doesn't get to a dead end. We started talking a little bit about like e-commerce and transactional stuff. So you could have a chatbot who's basically acting like your travel agent or like your mortgage broker or any of these things. Because those people, what they're doing is taking in information and then going through their experience or their databases or whatever it is and trying to figure out a solution to your problem, which is, I want to fly to Barbados on the 15th of October. And it's just like, okay, well, here are 5 flights. You know, the travel agent is just presenting back information to you. So it's not something that a chatbot couldn't do, right? You could imagine that even if it was a one-on-one customer interaction where you're actually a logged in customer who's had transaction history with them, you may want to be able to talk to that chatbot about your transaction history. And a good example of this is some of the automated systems like that Amazon has, where you can start interacting with the bot and it says, do you mean about this order? And it brings up some of your past orders and you click on it and now you're talking about that order and you can see different actions that can be done. And you can also interact and talk about that order with the chatbot. So you could do that en masse, you could do that about very different things. You could do this about all kinds of records. Some of the issues with this is really privacy and protection of sensitive information, like especially health and finance information. However, if you're properly logged in and properly authenticated, and maybe it's no different than you authenticating with the person on the phone. It's like, what's your birthday? What's your passcode? What's all these things? So now that they know it's you, you can have these sort of interactions. And then really the greatest part of it all is just setting a chatbot free on your corpus or your topics or your website or whatever it is that you want to know a lot about, and then asking the chatbot open-ended questions about those things that it learned. That's where you get into like the really cool chatbots, like the ones that we've built, where you're basically, I'm gonna let you loose on a bunch of information and then, you know, take your time and learn it. It's gonna take a little while, but as soon as you understand it in the hours that it takes to understand, now I can talk to you like you're the expert on that information. And getting that expertise almost for free means, you know, you can drive down a little bit of customer service and increase your margins. You can drive down a little bit of sales costs and increase your margins and lead gen costs. So there's a lot of the external interactions that can be helped. You could do something for your partners as well. You could do this internally for your staff if you're researching all kinds of things. So, I mean, to have the employee at your company that knows everything about your company and all the documents and everything that's been written, and you can ask it, that's a wonderful resource to have. It's like having employee number 1 at wherever you work who sat at everybody's desk forever and just always was a sponge and took in all that information, because now you have context. So you could even use this as an onboarding tool or a training tool if you were to turn it into that. So there's a myriad and a slew of different use cases for these better bots that are generated from real knowledge rather than from over programming in a sense.